Cha-cha-cha-cha. Let's go! Take the cracker off of the barrel. Your history still intact, but I cut it down to the marrow. Just put the cash in the bag and then bribe them off the imperil. Go crack fall for the crackpots killing us like you Cheryl. Pilot the districts till all the votes are twisted. Like every fucking transcription Jillian about to give you. The moral state bankrupt like filming for Dr. Phyllis. Jillian, that's the slavery, what you mean that I'm the villain? Fuck off, bitch, go yell on a fucking treadmill. Sucking up the power like 10% off the intel. Cut the check illegal like Kingston before we hit jail. Yeah, motherfuckers look too big but it will fail. Hold up, fucking gnarly on that Gap ad. Sydney money dropping like blue jeans with a fat ass. No cash in the backlash, Newsmax payback. Every motherfucker out here cutting up their own man. Connect like Aubrey and Amy, sneaking over the Delta. My patches is solid like Snake Beat. I'm silk song on my absence. When I'm back, they gon' praise me. I've been talking so much they made John Bolton and raid me. Woo! Yeah, well the famine is real. You silent, you motherfuckers. How the fuck do you feel? They've been backtracking whenever daddy shut up the deal, but double down on shipping residents by spinning the wheel. But listen, yo, someone check on the language. Read the fucking room already, you got it backwards. Bottom out of Target, then bombing out of the market. And Andrew running, he's saying, yo, pay more for that apartment? Fuck that, y'all be taking longer than George is. They forced in quicker than I'm watching a door spin. All these motherfuckers out here trying to flex, looking like Dean Cain folded when he run out of breath. Oh! Too soon? Hi. So if you're wondering how this happened, I was trying to pick up, like, because we're still moving stuff in my kitchen, and I was trying to pick up a box, and I fucking scraped the skin off my hand against a door handle. It's fucking embarrassing. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching Freestyle the News. If you like what you heard, please jump into that like button like you're a little girl and it's a synthoid body that will somehow find humanity a gateway into immortality before you're called away because another evil corporation that rules the other half of the world has trapped a xenomorph in a giant spaceship and rammed that spaceship into Earth, and now you and a bunch of other synthoid bodies with kids' brains have to stop the same creature that tried to kill Ripley 2 years later? And leave a comment on your favorite bar? Man, Alien Earth is just fucking cool, right? Like, what a fucking amazing show. It's not that I'm surprised that it was really, really good. I'm surprised at how good and how effectively it captures the terrifying, like, atmosphere that Alien usually provides. And also, by the way, can we also have a moment to just bask in the fact that we're getting really good content from Alien? Remember when everybody saw Prometheus and was like, oh, I guess we're all fucked now, and we've gotten Romulus and then this back to back? Like, you are feasting if you were an Alien fan. Also, is it just me, or does anybody else feel like we're definitely getting an Alien versus Predator movie? Like, that's 100%. Like, you guys keep teasing at it. It's like watching like a couple in high school who you know are dating, but they're like, oh, we're just like you're full of shit. You two are dating. We know it's a thing. Just make it a thing. But it's going to be down the pipeline. I'm absolutely looking forward to that. But if you haven't done it already, check out Alien Earth. It's really, really great and scary. If you don't like scary things, you should probably not do that then. Or look up all the jump scares. I didn't. It's scary. Man, in terms of movies and TV this year, it's been a great year for both. Feels like Hollywood is like slowly coming out or shaking off the devastating strikes it had. But it still has a ways to go for the most part for the industry to like fully heal. There are still a lot of people who are out of work. But yeah, just a good time for movies in the middle of the hurricane that is the world. It's been a very interesting week in terms of news, like a lot of noise. We're in August, so that just tends to be when a lot of people kind of like just shut down as summer starts to kind of end. But look, before we jump into the meat and potatoes of everything we're going to talk about today, I do want to tell you that if you were a fan of our news roundups and all the kind of stuff we did at TooSoonCrew.com, we're about to restart those news roundups again. As soon as Monday comes, the first one drops, and like I've been telling other people on Too Soon Crew, we're going to be doing exclusive live streams for Too Soon Crew. I promised that a while back, but now that I have my own space and it's really coming together, it's easier for me to live stream like whenever I want, just mainly because when me and Maddie shared a space, she's also a streamer. We have to like pick and choose like schedules of when we stream, and now I can just be like, ah, fuck it, I'm gonna go to my room and just stream for a little bit. And we're also working on a new merch drop in general for both fighting game stuff as well as Freestyle the News related stuff. I appreciate you guys for sticking with me during my fucking hiatus while I was moving and doing Evo shit. The new space has given us a lot of options of more things to do and more content to make. Keep an eye out for that. But There are some very consequential stories that happened this week. So let's just jump into this breakdown. And like I said, a very interesting week for news. So let's just start with this fucker again, because I mean, what do you expect? Donald Trump's week has been focused on trying to overload almost every headline and aspect of culture that he possibly can. And it all started off with a visit from Zelensky regarding the Ukraine-Russia war. The good news is this visit went a lot better than the first one, I assume, because he was wearing a suit and that one fucking douchebag was like, oh, war is no excuse. But like we had mentioned during a previous episode, Trump had essentially flipped back a lot of the things that he was going to press Putin on after their meeting, and him coming out looking like a fucking really sad kid who realized he wasn't getting any Legos for Christmas. And instead urged Zelensky to give in to some of Putin's demands, like keeping the land Russia had taken, which was a non-starter. But that's kind of developed a little bit over the week, with Trump meeting with European leaders and now feeling that Vladimir Putin isn't acting in good faith. What a fucking shock. And now Trump, as a result, has renewed threats for sanctions on Russia. That was kind of the start of the week, but the big story at the top of the week that kind of colored the whole thing was the Texas redistricting fight and the inevitable mid-decade gerrymander passing, kicking off what could probably be the gerrymander wars. Now, it wasn't soon after that Gavin Newsom helped push through a proposal for California redistricting that would also net 5 seats to cancel out Texas's +5 gerrymander. That plan received support from Barack Obama, saying that while gerrymandering is a horrible thing because of the circumstances, it makes sense for Newsom to try to cancel out this whole thing. But the ultimate decision will be with California voters, many of whom have already signaled that they're ready to fight fire with fire and support this map and this redistricting. And look, I have already laid out my frustrations with the fact that we're here at this point. If you go and watch our last episode, go watch it. The algorithm is being shitty to us because we took some time off. If you go and watch our last episode, I mentioned I think it is a bad thing that we are openly supporting gerrymandering, but that does not mean that I'm against this move, because it is a necessary move, or else the whole game gets more fucking lopsided and even more corrupt than it already is. It's now a deterrent, and the fact that everybody now has to have some sort of deterrent against this very fucking open corruption really hurts everything. But what do we fucking expect right now these days, right? But that being said, speaking of Gavin Newsom, he's been having a fucking rocket ship of a come up these last few months. His strategy to troll Trump with those all caps tweets and talking shit to whoever wants to smoke has really gotten people energized as he aggressively goes toe to toe with different aspects of this administration. And look, I'm not gonna lie to you, right? Gavin Newsom has always been a polarizing figure, right? For progressives in the left and just California in general, right? He is somebody who actively does fight tooth and nail for Californians, but he also can be such a fucking douchebag sometimes and display like the worst qualities of liberalism. He has both protected and undermined minority groups. He has both fought against and capitulated with culture war bullshit. He has advocated for trying to fight climate change and also done a lot of excessive bullshit, just not remembering the fact that he did the former. And that's the thing, if you live in California, right, you know that Gavin Newsom is like the political Christian Bale American psychopath, right? But he's our political Christian Bale American psychopath. That's always been the feeling, and I don't mean in the same way that like MAGA like worships fucking Donald Trump, right? Okay, it's like a alliance of political men. You gotta get what I'm saying? It's not, nobody's gonna kiss the ground Gavin Newsom walks on. But we also know he's not gonna start a bar fight with the world by throwing out a bunch of tariffs and then send the fucking military everywhere. He is a political machine, and I will say over the last month or two, as a professional shit talker, right? In terms of political attacks, he's been very effective at punching back at Trump. Strategically, Newsom is incredibly effective and agile when it comes to these kinds of fights, and he's not perfect. You can ask anybody who had to fucking get out of their house when Larry Elder challenged him, but he had a pretty effective strategy within California, especially after the National Guard was deployed. And let's talk about that very quickly, because Trump has over the last week also mentioned deploying the National Guard to more states. Obviously, that has increased way more fears from people of authoritarianism taking hold, with many experts saying that these are blatantly illegal activities because of his bullshit citing crime as a reason to send all of these people in? And look, there was a report yesterday that Trump was planning to activate thousands of National Guard troops in 19 more US states, as well as planning to deploy military, including active duty military, in Chicago. That last part people have been asking me to talk about, and it is absolutely understandable to freak out, right? Especially with the language and the tone and the way Trump is moving and signaling everything in this current moment. And looking into this, I will say, yes, there are definitely some things that you should absolutely be worried about regarding this, but also there are a few things centered around this that are absolutely bluster Trump is using to gain traction on other plans. And before I go into more detail and say this next part, let me just reiterate one more time for the millionth fucking time on an episode again. I am not saying a piece of paper suddenly nullifies Donald Trump's authoritarianism, okay? For the final fucking time, I don't believe a permission slip is gonna be like, oh, fucking, I can't do it. It's not gonna stop him from trying to be Viktor Orban 2, Orban harder. It's trademarked, by the way. But incentives around the broader GOP and the structures that hold up Trump's soft power are the line that stops him. I have maintained that fact since the fucking start of this whole thing. Gerrymandering helps the GOP. Culture war bullshit and law and order crap help the GOP, right? But if Trump tomorrow was to go, you know what? We should have a constitutional amendment for abortion. The GOP would be like, I don't think he's in his right mind. I think we got to get JD Vance back in there, 25th Amendment, blah, 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 blah. Or, Mr. President, just stick to the things that you know. You fucking 100% know they'd pull that shit. But all right, I'm getting off topic. That being said, let's get into this. Number one, the National Guard being deployed in those 19 states is something to directly be worried about. However, it should be noted that all of those states are Republican-run states, which means it's a little easier for Trump to push that through in those states because they're governors who capitulate to them. In fact, the largest National Guard presence in those 19 is going to be deployed in Texas. And the reason it's a ton of states at once is it's clearly by design, specifically because Trump is trying to push for normalcy of this specific action. If you look into the specifics of Trump deploying the National Guard in California, like we've done many times before on the show, California pushed back against the Trump administration's use of the National Guard and control of it, arguing in court that it violated the Posse Comitatus Act, which we've also mentioned. We've talked about a lot of shit, man. Now look, an appeals court turned back control of the National Guard over to Gavin Newsom, and another appeals court fucking reversed that. And now it's just in limbo. It's still completely undecided. But that case is entirely upon whether or not the military did the job of law enforcement in California, because there are limits to what states' National Guard are allowed to do when they're under federal authority. Regardless of the outcome of this case, the whole case is hinged upon Posse Comitatus being the law of the land. That doesn't change, right? The National Guard can't arrest people or literally be law enforcement. The loophole Trump is trying to push through is some of the assistance they provided to ICE and law enforcement are suddenly now covered under Posse Comitatus, right? Which, by the way, is still definitely fucked up and scary and not great. But what I would argue is actually really, really important, which you should pay a little bit more attention to, right, is to take a look at how the reaction has been from Los Angeles to DC to hypothetically Chicago. What happened in Los Angeles with the National Guard became national news and a huge fucking deal over the weeks that it was dominating the headlines. It sunk Trump's approval rating on immigration, and it was met with huge backlash against the Trump administration. And believe it or not, the administration actually backpedaled on a few directives as they met more and more resistance from California natives and the public at large. But of course, like the whole fucking Roy Cohn playbook, Trump declared victory anyway. Like, oh, we did it. They listened. They bent the knee, which is untrue. Again, watch our other shows. But in DC, Trump actually had a little bit more ability to do more things with the National Guard because of the weird statehood or non-statehood of DC and shit. The rules of the National Guard in DC are very wonky. energy, as you could see during 2020 when they were mobilized by Trump then during the George Floyd protests. But also, the DC National Guard mobilization this time has received markedly less attention over the last few weeks because of the negotiations with Ukraine, the redistricting fight, the tariffs, a bunch of other things Trump is overwhelming the headlines with. Now, it did still get some coverage and some alarm with people sharing videos and posts on social media, but there was a lot of press that was left in the dark or in this black hole of what the fuck was going on in DC, right? And honestly, the coverage around it has shifted out of the major like front page news cycle place pretty quickly, like only within like a week and a half. And for Chicago, that's another situation like LA, and it should not be treated like the DC National Guard situation, because the goal of this is to make it like a boring fucking news story, like, oh, it happens all the time, so we can do it whenever he wants. Again, institutional pushback and problems with the press do scare Trump. He is flexing hard over these last 3 months with the redistricting fight, with firing more people in different positions around the government, trying to combat the Epstein list. It is hard to remember or recognize that he was having a really hard go of it before June because he's been flooding this zone with so much shit, which is his MO. And as things like the famine in Gaza have intensified and Trump has capitulated more to Putin, he's come out looking like he's Teflon Don again, even though he's had multiple bits of erosion and fucking punctures since. So once again, I am not saying everything is okay, all right? I am saying Trump's goal here is intimidation, like it's been throughout his whole fucking career. And some of that intimidation has some real firepower behind it, and some of it is just bullshit and him just pushing to see how far he can get. Don't believe them, believe me. Donald Trump, the oldest man fucking alive next to Joe Biden. And some of the nihilism and fatalism and doomerist ideas is what Trump is using to polarize more people in the electorate, right? Also, some of the apathy. I'm not gonna lie. Anybody going, everything is fine. Just why are you getting mad about this? He loves that shit. Look, the best thing to do in this specific situation, right, if he does deploy the National Guard to Chicago, is to do what LA did, which was aggressively fight back with organization, optics, and litigation. Tow trucks towed away unmarked ICE vehicles. LA protesters got in the way of immigration raids and actually stopped a few. Gavin Newsom went on a fucking crazy press blitz while challenging him in the courts. That has fucking worked. Again, if you don't live in LA right now, LA is not this military occupied territory right now. I would know. I had to fucking move in the middle of all this shit, right? You think it would have been fucking easy? Me, a brown guy, moving all of his shit in fucking military occupied LA? The National Guard is in one specific part of LA, and everywhere else is largely open. And there's a lot of different social media activist spaces that identify music festivals and ICE way before they get there. Obviously, there's also the litigation that I had mentioned earlier. Pritzker already seems primed for this fight, right? And keeping that focus instead of distracting with all the noise that Trump is putting out there will be key to making sure this is not another normalized, boring story. Because you have to remind people it is still not normal to federalize the guard like this. It is still under stupid pretenses, and that is still fucking authoritarian overreach. And I need to clarify once again, in my How to Fight Project 2025 video and other videos similar to that, I said that there are lines that cannot be crossed when it comes to military chain of command and the National Guard. What I have also mentioned is, and I will try to be more clear and frequent when I say this, right? Trump wants to push those lines. That is what he is actively trying to do right now. This is him pressing up against the barrier, right? And the way he does that is to try to make whatever he's pushing it to normal. He wants the goalpost to move. Columbine happens, the entire nation mourns. Sandy Hook happens, the entire nation mourns. 100 school shootings happen in the last 6 months. The nation tweets and then fucking forgets about it. It's because it became normalized. Don't let this become normalized. Don't let that become normalized either. What are you doing? All this shit's fucking crazy. Until that affects, Trump is still gloriously unpopular whenever his name is dominating headlines because of Overreach, right? Okay. And speaking of unpopular headlines, right? Let's round this out, this whole fucking Trump segment, with Ghillaine Maxwell. So yesterday, the Department of Justice released their transcript with Ghillaine Maxwell, the lady begging Trump for a fucking pardon after she helped Jeffrey Epstein sexually assault, groom, and traffic tons and tons of underage women. And wouldn't you know it, in her testimony, conveniently, she says, you know, Bill Clinton and Donald Trump were both upstanding gentlemen and just nice people on those planes, and that accuser over sexual misconduct is fucking lying. What a fucking coincidence, Ghillaine, you ratty bitch. And look, soon after that, you had many partisan hacks jumping on to proclaim, look, we all knew it. We know Trump, this means what we all knew. Trump is innocent, like this motherfucker here.
Whole thing. And of course, this confirms what we all knew. If the Democrats, if President Trump had done something wrong, you don't think the Democrats would have released that? I mean, it was their Justice Department who handled all this. You don't think the Garland Justice Department and the Chris Ray FBI would have released information? We knew President Trump didn't do anything wrong here. He said that repeatedly. This transcript is the whole transcript, and it confirms that. So. Yeah, I think this is there's nothing there. It seems based on what we got from the interview of Miss Maxwell.
That is fucking wild, Jim, for you to be saying that. You of all people need to shut the fuck up with that stupid hole in your face, because I can give you a Jerry Sandusky amount of fucking reasons for you to do so, you bag of shit. Of all the fucking people, for you to open your dumb fucking bony mouth, it's not even a partisan thing, right? You're such a clownish bitch and blind in both fucking eyes whenever you look away as soon as somebody's being assaulted, you dipshit weasel. I hope you get divorced. Get the fuck out of here. Listen, Trump has already burned a lot of the goodwill he had from independent voters who fell for this little conspiracy trick of his, okay? You already have personalities like Joe Rogan furious over this about face. And this is not nothing. It is a significant source of Trump's soft power. And look, I don't think the Epstein case is going to be the fucking defining element that flips the House and the Senate and ends Trump. But I do think that this is the starter gun that signals this is the beginning of it. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, it's already been a little bit. Let me do a couple of quick stories before we go. The Menendez brothers got their parole denied. They have to wait 18 months before they get another shot. If you've heard about the Menendez brothers, they were the subject of a pretty extensive documentary going into detail about their substantial abuse growing up, right? And eventually, all of that led to them killing their parents. Now, the Menendez brothers have apparently been like model prisoners, but their parole was denied on a couple of technicalities like possessing an illegal cell phone, associating with a gang member, which they have said is for specifically protection because of where they are in prison. Look, I haven't seen the documentary. I actually have to watch it. I will watch it soon if I have to, right? But people seem pretty frustrated over this verdict. If you've been following the story, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think of the Menendez brothers. Would love to hear your thoughts. And speaking of documentaries, Jillian Michaels is in the fucking news, just talking shit.
You cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you
anti-slavery,
let's talk about the fact.
Slavery in America was.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people were
Do you know
the slave
who
owners.
was the first race to try to end slavery? Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised
This is
that
an
you're trying to
extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really in the context of American history. What are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad. And that's just not the truth. Like, for example, every single exhibit, I have a list of every single one. Like, people migrated from Cuba because white people bad. Not because of Castro. Yes, no, it's in there. That's what I'm saying. You don't actually know what's in there.
Fuck off with that. If you don't know Jillian, she was on The Biggest Loser. She basically just yelled at people to work out harder, right? Wait for them to unnaturally lose, because she didn't give a fuck about health. But it was great on camera, and she is a fucking fraud in every sense of the word. Not because fitness or working out is fraudulent. She is a fraud. Fucking huge RFK supporter. What a fucking coincidence. But speaking of The Biggest Loser, the brand new Netflix documentary on The Biggest Loser just came out, and Jillian does not look good. With the accusations of her giving the contestants caffeine pills, which she's denied in the past, the fact that she put them on really dangerous caloric deficits, far from beyond the norm, the fact that she didn't reach out to a co-star after they had a heart attack, all of that she denies. Kind of not the point. The image of you screaming at people like this and the reputation of the show is enough to say you're a piece of fucking shit, Jillian. And before I get a rash of shit about my weight, I frequently gain and lose weight often. I've been 176 pounds. I've been 220 pounds. I like working out. Anybody who clowns me about my weight, I'll lose it in fucking 6 months. I don't give a shit. I know how to live on a caloric deficit and get into shape. And that's why I know from being at the gym so long and loving it, right? This is not gym culture, Jillian. It's fucking asshole culture. There are dozens of different types of people and political affiliations and gender identities and just like sizes of people who go to the gym. And the reason that community grows so substantially and is so welcoming is the prime equity factor is respect for everyone there. Doesn't matter if you're 300 pounds or you're 150 pounds. The gym is not for you to hate your fucking body. It's to see what your body can accomplish, you fucking idiot. No one gets to say where you get to be in your journey. Anybody judging somebody or screaming at them like that is poison to the fucking culture. Get the fuck out. You're a fucking sideshow clown. There are plenty of trainers who have helped obese people lose hundreds and hundreds of pounds who don't turn into fucking anger from inside out. Fuck this lady. Let me know what you think in the comments. And that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. I gotta turn on a fucking fan in here. I sweat like crazy. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out Go for Lethal. Go check out our previous episodes we've released over the last week. Too Soon Crew News Roundup starts again Monday. And as always, thank you for sticking with me and bearing with me through all this. We got more stuff coming down the pipe. My name is Tabani. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all soon. Let's go!